Welcome to the Sack Race Reacts. We are reacting to the news that Neil Lennon has resigned from his post from Celtic. It's been a really busy week already in the managerial arena. We've seen Nigel Pearson come back to Bristol City, Joey Barton get the Bristol Rovers job. We've done an article on the 10 youngest managers, which you can check out on site in England. But up in Scotland, Neil Lennon has left. And we're going to run through the odds with Charlie from Betting Odds. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Good early start, eh?
A very early start. Just after 7, this news broke, and we've got John Kennedy as interim manager. It's worth pointing out that if he takes charge of 10 games, that counts as the permanent manager in betting terms. Charlie, what are the early odds on John Kennedy, the assistant, turned into a manager, getting the job?
So yeah, he's got into favourite. Paddy Power, you get him at 11-8, and with William Hill, 15-8. The only thing I've seen early morning is sort of Celtic fans going from absolute ecstasy that Neil Lennon's left, but then going into a bit of turmoil if John Kennedy does get the job on a permanent basis. So again, like you said, he could get the 10 games for the rest of the season while they take their time to appoint a bigger name, which would be a payout. But something Celtic fans, of what I've seen, don't want.
He played for the club, first team scout, won silver with the youth teams, first team coach, assistant, now interim manager. I mean, he knows the club well, obviously, but probably not the glamour appointment Celtic fans want. Steve Clarke, on the other hand, what a job he's done with Celtic, who's led to the Euros. Kilmarnock, he led from, I think, near bottom of the table to 5th on a shoestring budget. He's also managed in England at the likes of West Brom and Reading. Charlie, now he's obviously got the Euros, which we hope are going to take place this summer. Does that skew things a bit? Do you see Celtic waiting until that's over?
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see this name that high up in the betting. I think we tweeted it midweek as well when he was the favourite. Like you said, he's done incredible stuff with Kilmarnock and Scotland, getting them into the Euros. Fantastic job. It'd be interesting to see how well he does for Scotland. But this is the top job in Scotland, isn't it? So it'd be hard. If he loves the day in, day out managerial arena, like you said, he's worked under some top managers in England. You could see it happening. He could have a good Euros, and then he could be tempted.
The blockbuster name, of course, is Rafa Benitez, who is available after leaving Dalian Pro. I mean, everyone knows about his CV. He's won silver pretty much everywhere. Over in England, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle. Could he venture up to Scotland with Celtic, and what's the price on him at the moment?
Can they afford him? That's the big thing. Again, I don't know. I'm surprised Newcastle could afford him when they did. He's 11-2 with Paddy Power, 5-1 William Hill. I think this would be a great appointment, and I think this could be a really realistic chance of it happening. I think Rafa likes a big club with Liverpool, Newcastle, Celtic, another massive club on his CV. He's got a pragmatic style, but you know he'd go up there. You know he'd get them sort of steady again. And I would like to see the Master versus the Apprentice next season. Rafa Benitez versus Steven Gerrard. I think that could be a great little tussle. I think if Rafa's up for it, I think Celtic should go for it. I think it could happen.
That would be a fascinating narrative. And speaking of which, we go on to Frank Lampard. Imagine Frank Lampard v Steven Gerrard. That would be so compelling to watch. Lampard's free. You'd think he's sort of waiting for a Premier League job. He's been linked with Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson, of course, leaving in the summer. Could Frank Lampard come in to the Eagles? But, I mean, it'd be tempted by this Celtic job, surely, if they come in for him.
Yeah, I still think Frank Lampard's going to rock up at Bournemouth at some point. I don't know when that is, but yeah, I think this would be maybe an even better job for him to move to instead of going straight into like a Crystal Palace or a Premier League club. He's going to give him a chance to work with some decent players. I mean, look at Brendan Rodgers, what he did when he's an elite manager, won every trophy that he could, and he really built up his sort of CV to then go into the Premier League at a club like Leicester. I think this opportunity for Lampard would be more sensible to learn his trade, to build up his experience, than going straight back into the Premier League, which we know how difficult it is. And especially for a job like Palace, it's going to be tough to him to sort of change their way around from playing Hodgson ball. Again, I think this could be a good appointment. Again, would both parties want it? I'm not too sure, but it'd be interesting to see who fares out, who's the better manager, Steven Gerrard or Frank Lampard, if they did go head to head. But I think it's a bit risky from Celtic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think exactly the same. But Rangers took a gamble on Gerrard, and he had no managerial experience, or senior manager experience, his name anyway. And he's had two sort of tricky seasons, and now he's absolutely flying. So it's great to see a club be patient with the manager and let him develop and let him grow. And I think Lampard did a good job at Chelsea. So I thought he was quite unlucky to lose the job. He did all right with Derby as well, led them into the playoffs. So he's got the experience. He's managing a high-pressure environment. I think it'd be a good appointment. You mentioned Bournemouth there. Eddie Howe, still waiting to see where he crops up next after leaving Bournemouth last summer. Again, he's been linked with so many jobs as well. We've got Roberto Martinez doing a decent job with Belgium, led them to third at the World Cup. I believe his contract runs up in the summer after the Euros. He'll be looking to win that. Bit similar to Steve Clarke, so we have to sort of wait and see on that one. Andre Villas-Boas just left Marseille. Bit hot-headed at times. They'll probably clash with everyone there. Of course, there was a dispute with a Celtic player who Marseille got behind his back. That's why he left the club. Do any of them take your fancy, or maybe Alex Neil from Preston?
I watched a Preston game the other day, and the football was turgid. So if I was a Celtic fan, I would not want Alex Neil coming in. Eddie Howe, his head almost fell off when he went to Burnley. So if he went any higher, I don't know what would happen. I think Eddie Howe is waiting for a Premier League club. I'm not sure who'd want to go to Celtic, but after speaking to one of the Celtic fans, we know that he wanted Eddie Howe. That's the man they want. So again, if they lure him, that 9-1, 10-1 is a very good price. And again, like Brendan Rodgers, it's a massive club, and it could be a great one to have in his CV. Roberto Martinez, I'm surprised to see third favourite, 10-3, 4-1. Managing Belgian players like Kevin De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku. I'm just shocked. It'd be a bit of no disrespect to Celtic, but going from that to Ryan Christie and Lee Griffiths could be a bit of a shock. So I'm a bit surprised by that one. I'm sure he'd be looking for a bigger club. But yeah, for me, I would like to see them go for Rafa Benitez or Frank Lampard, like we said. But is there anyone that you think, or is there any outsiders in the betting which you think would be a good shout for the job?
An interesting name I've seen actually is Enzo Maresca, who's trending a little bit on Twitter this morning. He coached at West Ham and Seville. He scouted at Milan. He's currently in charge of Man City's development squad, who are flying high at the top of their table. So may not have too much senior experience, but that's definitely one to keep an eye on. Of course, you've got the old names. You've got Marcel O'Neill, Gordon Strachan. Could they come back? Roy Keane, a former Celtic player. Arsene Wenger, been out since leaving Arsenal, 100-1 you can get him at. And finally, Ralf Rangnick, 50-1 shot. The German maestro, he's influenced everyone. Thomas Tuchel, Jurgen Klopp, to name a couple. He's currently out of work, but he builds clubs. He has a manager role and a sporting director role. At RB Leipzig, he led them from the third tier to the top tier German football. With Hoffenheim, he did something similar. He was linked with Milan in the summer, but he's now left his whole role like encompassing the Red Bull structure, and he's available. Whether he'll come in as manager, I don't know. It may have to be a sporting director role. Could that happen? I'm not sure, but that would be fascinating to see.
Yeah, I think that would be bringing some quality football. That's something that Celtic want to see back. And one name that I've seen down the betting at 50-1, again, a bit of a left field selection, but Darren Fletcher, ex-Manchester United player, he's now a coach under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Could be quite a progressive appointment, young, fresh ideas. He's worked under Sir Alex Ferguson, obviously a proper Scot. So that's something if they were looking left field. But Celtic are a massive club, and I think they need to get this appointment right after Rangers have absolutely done one over them this season. So it'd be interesting to see who they go with.
Just to finish up on, Marco Silva has been linked with the club as well. He's 50-1. And we mentioned Lampard earlier. John Terry, been linked with quite a few jobs in England, most recently Bournemouth. He's out at 66-1 to get his first job and come up against Steven Gerrard at Rangers. Charlie, thanks very much, mate.
No worries. Cheers, Jack.